Hello, 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 my loves. Welcome back. I am so excited to be talking to you again. Welcome back to the podcast. Happy season 2. And I don't know how to introduce. It's like the same podcast. It's season 2 of the same podcast, but I'm rebranding the podcast. So, I don't even know if I'm going to have this be like season 2, episode 1, or just like episode 48 or whatever number I'm on, because it's like the same thing, and I don't want to lose that, not like continuity, because there was like a 6-month break and like it's completely rebranded. Like there's not a lot of continuity, but I like to know like when I've done 100 episodes and I could like count, I guess, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, all that to say, I don't really know how to introduce this, and clearly I didn't plan for how I was going to introduce it at all. But this is Messy and Iconic. The new and improved, I guess you could say, rebranded podcast. So, same old podcast, also not the same old podcast, and that's what this introduction premiere episode is going to be all about. I should say, right off the bat, like before I even get into it, I just have to acknowledge the fact that this is my third time recording this episode. I recorded it once, like 3 weeks ago. I recorded it again last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. And I'm recording it again right now. And the first time, you guys, well, if you follow me on Instagram, you know about already, because I had major tech issues. Mercury retrograde was up in here. Did not want the podcast to be coming out back then that early. They were like, nope, people gotta wait. And what I said in the last time I've recorded, so I'm going to be so confused, because I'm going to be like, wait, what have I said? What have I not said? Because you know how your memories start to like meld together. But that was a little while ago, and I haven't listened back to it. So I'm hoping that like I just don't remember, and like the important stuff comes through. And if anything, if I do repeat myself in anything, it was meant to be repeated. Okay. Oh, also, I'm gonna probably hit this mic a billion times. My setup, okay, so the setup is, it's like definitely an upgrade. I don't know. Right now, it's like all out because I just did the photo shoot for the thumbnail. So I have the lights up still, because normally I keep them downstairs because there's nowhere really, don't have a huge apartment. So there's not really anywhere to keep these giant softbox lights. I've had these forever, like back since my like aspiring beauty guru YouTuber days. Like back in college, I bought these. Like I was trying to really up level my setup and like be a YouTuber, which is so funny because now like I'm planning to post the podcast on YouTube. So it's like we brought the softbox lights back out to attempt, I just hit my ring on the table, oh my god, attempt the YouTube era part 2, I guess. Although there were like multiple attempts at the YouTube era back then. But anyway, that's a story for another time. I'm already getting distracted. I'll finish up about the the setup, and then I'll go back to why I'm recording the episode a third time. So yeah, basically I did the shoot for the podcast thumbnail myself. Sindri and I did a photo shoot 2 days ago on Wednesday. Yeah, today is Friday. Because yeah, well, obviously I really wanted new photos, like in a really epic cover for the rebrand to really represent me and just what the podcast is going to be about and the vibe that I want. I like hated the thriving thumbnail for so long. I was like so embarrassed of it. I felt like I like 12 in it. I mean, the photo is from 2022, and it's just not, it's very basic. It kind of looks like you threw it together in paint. Like it doesn't look, not that I want to say it doesn't look professional, because of course my goal is never to look professional, right? But like it didn't feel representative of me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it didn't feel aligned. It felt like baby me, and I had outgrown it, but like I wasn't being represented through the photo. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Because yeah, I mean, you could even have a professional photo that you've just outgrown and doesn't represent you anymore. So that's kind of how I felt about the thumbnail and the podcast in general. So I really wanted new photos and like better photos for this cover, and I have never gotten a professional brand shoot ever. Just like I've never, like, a photographer hasn't come across my eyes that I was like, oh, they're the photographer for me. Like I trust them with my life. I feel like that's the kind of trust I want to have in a photographer. And just no one like had jumped out at me. And I also didn't have a clear vision for what I wanted at all. So I was kind of like, well, I don't want to invest in a photo shoot if I don't even like have a vision, especially if I don't like feel really like the photographer is going to like have my back and help me craft that, And then I made a bunch of other excuses. Like, I just, like, wasn't the right time, you know? And it also just wasn't a priority to invest in something like that. And I also knew in the back of my mind I could do it myself. I've always been pretty good at photography, videography, like, things like that. I have all the stuff, like, from when I did YouTube and everything back in the day. I was like, I know I can do that. It just would take a little bit of intention and imagination and commitment, you know? But I was really excited about bringing the podcast back, and I was like, okay, it's time. Like, I'm ready. I can do this. And I'm really proud of myself because the photos came out awesome, and a lot of people were like, wow, like, you took these yourself. Like, I would have never known. Someone even told me I should offer like, I should offer photo shoots to people, like, be a photographer, like, be on the other side of the camera for other people, which I was like, low-key, I've thought about that. Like, I feel like I'm really good at posing people, but I like always wish I could clone myself because I don't have anyone to do that for me. I'll like literally give Sindri the phone. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, put it on front camera, let me pose myself, and now I turn it around. But anyway, so I was like, we can do this. Like, Sindri can help me, and then I just got the vision just came to me, and that's how I knew like this is the right time because the podcast is coming back, and I was like, okay, I need a cover. I still don't know what it is, and all of a sudden the vision came to me, and I actually put it into like Canva's AI thing. And it was super helpful because I got this idea in my head of like having the mess, you know, but then having like me look iconic in the middle of the mess, you know? And then I was like, oh my God, and I can do these sunglasses, and then I'll look like that'll like really give icon vibes. And then I'll just put a mess of like a bunch of items that represent like, you know, of things that I'm into and things that I talk about in my business and my brand, because like a big part of it is there's so much, right? Like, I want to have the business represented, and I want to have spirituality represented, and I want to have this and that, and I want the mess and the iconery represented. And it just like boop popped into my head. I saw it, and I wrote a description into the Canva's AI thing, like a girl sitting on white couch in messy bun, like wearing like sweatshirt with stars on it. And so because I was writing the description based of things that I knew I had, so like I knew I could recreate it, you know? And I was like trying to figure out, I was like, do I need new clothes? Like, what can I wear that's like an outfit I already have? And it was so helpful because, and I was like, you know, and an item surrounded by a mess of items, like a laptop, a journal, a crystals, this and that. And it created such good mock-ups, you guys. Like, that's actually one good use of AI because it helped me see my vision and be like, oh, cool, that works. And then see where I wanted to tweak it and like know that it was doable before I like went through the whole thing of actually setting up and trying to do it for myself, you know, and like, no, okay, like now I have my vision, I can see it, I know I have the items I need, everything like that. And it's funny, like, I'll show you, well, I'll post on Instagram like some of the mock-ups I did in AI versus like how it came out because it's like so similar. So that was really cool just how that worked. But anyway, where's it? Oh, and so then since we were doing the shoot, I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring the lights up. We're gonna do it. I took them on my phone because the phone camera quality is just so good now. And we just like played around with it, did a bunch. Like, Sindri helped be a little photographer and like just snap a bunch for me. And then after we did all the podcast photos, I was like, okay, well, we already have like all this stuff out. The lights are out. Like, my hair and makeup is done. Well, my hair was done in a messy bun, but still. I was like, I'm going to take advantage and just take some more photos. You know, they're good to have. And I don't really have any updated photos. Last time I did a self photo shoot again was like last October, and it was super rushed. I only got like 1 or 2 good photos out of it that I like way overused because they were the only photos I had. You know, I've been wanting to put together a media kit and things like that. And I was like, I don't have any photos for this. And I also feel it just came out such perfect timing. Like, the whole rebrand is coming at such perfect timing because I feel like I've just gone through this such a big identity and brand evolution, and I finally just kind of like landed in it, you know, like I was in this kind of messy, like, you know, confusing, evolving phase, like mid-evolution phase for the past like kind of 2 months. Yeah, and there was like just a lot of confusion and figuring things out and getting it piece by piece. And then I feel like I've really, yeah, like I said, landed here now. And I feel very embodied and very clear in the vision and like what I'm doing and like what the next level looks like and all of that and how I want it to be represented. And it's cool because even, you know, before, because we always have like those layers of evolution, right? And so it's like I've had like identity up levels before, or like identity and brand evolutions, and like each time I discover new things, and you know, I changed my bio, I changed my picture, all that stuff. But I still feel like even when I would like land in those, I didn't have the level of clarity that I have now. Like, I feel like my eyes are open in a whole new way. And I don't know if that's just because, I don't know, like, I feel, well, it's probably partially because, I don't want to say because Sindri's here, but I do feel like once Sindri moved here, I don't know, again, I feel like I was awakened in a new way. It was like a second level of awakening. Like, I feel like I just like graduated a level or something. I'm not gonna get into that in this episode though, because I'm gonna talk about that in the next episode. I'm gonna do like a whole Bessie chat, more of a life update. This is meant to be more focused on just like introducing the podcast and explaining the story behind it. So I still haven't. This is like all just me getting distracted on a tangent still. And I don't want to get lost. So, but this is what the podcast is going to be. But basically, a big part of it is just me giving myself permission to just do this and let this be the podcast episode, because I do this every time already anyway. And then I would always be like, oh, I'm getting off topic, or let me stop rambling for 20 minutes and get into like the topic of the episode. And then I was like, wait, like, why don't I just let that be the episode? Like, yeah, I can have certain topics I want to talk about, but like, this is me and this is the episode. And like, so that's one piece of it, is this is literally what it's going to be. So my only thing is I don't want to forget, like, my brain moves so much faster than my mouth can keep up with. So we're talking about, yeah, clarity, photo shoot, the setup. Yeah, I just feel so much more clear because, like I was saying, I never had a vision for what I would want, like, a brand shoot to be, you know, like what kind of clothing would I want? What kind of setting would I want? Like, nothing felt quite right. And I feel like this was the first time I actually had enough clarity where I knew, like, it just flowed out of me. Like, I just channeled, like, this is how it's meant to be represented. And this feels so like me, you know? So it's just such a cool feeling. And yeah, so then we just snapped a bunch of other photos. And then this is the funniest, coolest part. I was like, okay, let me try a couple more outfits. Like, I was getting a little tired, but I was like, this is basically, I'm dedicated the whole day to this. This is all I'm doing today. And I have a couple more hours before we have to leave. I have the lights out. Again, my stuff's all done. Let me try a couple more outfits on. And so I just like threw an outfit on, like figured it out on the spot, which is like so cool too, because the whole thing with the photo shoot, like in the past, I've been overthinking, like, I don't know what outfit to wear. I don't know what this and this and this. And even though I started with like the vision for the photo for the podcast thumbnail, the entire rest of the shoot was all totally impromptu, in the moment decisions. Oh, let me throw on this t-shirt. Oh, this prop would look funny. Oh, let me take some poses like this. Like, it's just so cool how I let it be messy in the moment. And that's like the whole vibe and the whole thing. So, and I was really proud of myself because I threw on another outfit and I was like, I don't have any other like settings or backgrounds though. Like, again, we have a very small apartment. So where we took the photos for the, oh my God, I'm getting my words mixed up, for the podcast cover, we're on a couch in the second bedroom, which is kind of like now like Sindri's office / like our co-working space. But like, I have my main office out here. Like, that's my desk. Over there, so that we kind of have separate spaces to work, but then we have a couch in there that doubles as a sleeper sofa, so it's kind of like a guest room also, but then I can sit in there and like work if Sindri's in there, like, and I'm doing stuff on my phone or my laptop on the couch. And then we have this main room, which is like kitchen back there. If you're listening, sorry. You can watch the video to see what I'm talking about. And then this is like the kind of like living room, family room. And then there's like a hallway, and then there's our bedroom and the bathroom. So like, that's it. We don't have to have extra space. And there's like a kitchen table over there. So that's what I ended up doing. Was I was like, there is no just like space with like a blank wall or something where I can take some like cool photos or send. I also have like a backdrop set up downstairs. I didn't pull that out this time. And then it was such a cool moment because I was like, oh, I really don't want to, like, I guess maybe I could move the table and like pull the lights out here, but I don't want to have to like move that much stuff around. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I can move the table. Like, it's not going to take that long. I can easily slide it back. It'll take me 2 seconds to move the lights. And it's just that kind of mindset that, like, that's when the best things happen in your life, in your business, is when you just stop telling yourself, no, I just talked about this in like the fall favorite fit. Like, oh my God. I need to slow myself down. Let's take a breath. There's just like so much coming out of me and I can't. I need to like ground. I did ground and like actually do a 5-minute meditation before I started this episode, but I guess I'm just really excited. Not that I don't love the energy, but I just can't even keep up with myself. So anyway, what I was saying is those are the best moments, and that's when the most magic happens, is when you're in the moment. You don't tell yourself no. Oh, I was saying, I just talked about this in my file favorites that I posted on Instagram. I was gonna do that on the podcast, but then because the podcast got delayed so much, I was like, let me just post a reel about this. Is, yeah, not telling yourself no and being like, you know what, yeah, I can do it. Actually, that's easy and it's gonna be worth it. Like that little amount of effort that you decide to put in, that majority of people decide to not put in because it's just easier to not do it, right? And it's easier to assume that the effort wouldn't be worth the outcome. Those are the people who don't become iconic, who don't live their dreams, right? Who are always waiting and end up settling because they just don't put in the 2% effort that leads to those incredible results. And that comes up in so many areas, but this was such a cool, I love when you see like big concepts or like, really powerful concepts represented in such small, simple ways like that. So I like pushed the table aside, moved the lights out, and I just totally, I set up my little phone tripod that my phone is on right now recording this, and I just like played around. I just like, and I had the glasses, and I just started like having pose ideas come to me, and they came out so sick, and the outfit idea was like so rockin', and then I was like, it was so cool because that set of photos, I think, like based on what people replied to my stories, ended up being everyone's like favorite photos, and they honestly are so badass. And I wouldn't have gotten those if I didn't do that. So they weren't even a part of the plan at all that day. It was like totally impromptu. And then I was like, okay, I feel like I want to try one more. I've done a lot of like, these were pretty like baddie, a little more masculine energy leaning photos. I feel like I want a little more of like a divine feminine flowy vibe. So I just like threw on a black dress I had. My hair was in a messy bun the whole time. Guys, my hair wasn't even washed for this photo shoot. If you want to talk about doing it messy, like I just want, and look at the photos. I mean, they're awesome photos, right? Like I'm living it so you can see. Literally, my hair was not even washed. I pulled it out of the messy bun. I literally just like did this to it, like tousled it, threw it around, pulled it down next to my head so it was like a little bit more tamed. And it was still a mess, but I made it work because what I did, it wasn't styled at all, is I like just did all the photos with like my hands in my hair. And I would like flip it over the side so it looked all like wild woman-y, and like flip it over and like hold it with my hand. And like I made it work and they came out so good. And the other cool thing about the Divine Feminine photos, I didn't get that many of them because my phone died and then we had to go. So I literally just got cut off because I was just starting to get into like finding good poses with it. So I wish I could have gotten a few more of those, but that's okay. I feel like now that I have these, at least like if I were to get another photo shoot, like I feel like that's the one aspect I didn't get fully represented, is like that kind of soft, like, naturey hippie. And so then I feel like I could just do an outside shoot like that and get that part represented, because now I feel like I have the other aspects represented already, if that makes sense. So anyway, how many times did I be like, so anyway, in this episode? Also, am I going to drink my drink? Who knows? Let's take a sip now. Okay. I feel like the cacao is helping me calm, helping me ground. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I got cut off, but the funny thing was, when I first started trying to pose for like the more divine feminine flowy photos, they just were not coming out like at all. They were so bad. Like I don't even know, what I think like energetically the problem was because I was still too much in the masculine mode. So I would like I was like ironically like trying to pose in a feminine flowy way, but like listen to that sentence, like it's a direct contradiction. So I would like, it would just not come out. I would look weird. I would think I posed so sexy and I would look at it and I'd be like, what the fuck is this? My eyes were just like so on, like it wasn't working. And again, since I was kind of rushed for time, I kind of like improvised. And it's funny because I noticed that like all the photos that came out good, my eyes were closed. And I just saw a video the other day where somebody was talking, it was like an ad, and she was talking about Marilyn Monroe, and she was talking about this concept of like receiving eyes versus, I don't know what she called the other one, but like, eyes that are more in receiving mode versus like forward, like looking at you versus like look at me. And it was a fascinating video. Honestly, I don't remember who posted it, but I was like, that's totally what's happening here. Like I'm too in my masculine right now, but I didn't have like a ton of time to kind of like, really like drop in and get my eyes into receiving mode. I don't really know what that means. But I was like, that's the problem. My eyes look like they're staring at you, so it's not working. So what I did, I had the idea to start dancing because none of the poses, like where I was trying to get poses of me looking flowy, looked flowy. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just actually flow? Duh. And I started just like slowly like, dancing in slow motion, just slow intuitive movement. And just like I would snap it because it was on a timer, and I would just like slowly dance, and it would just like snap one wherever I was when the timer counted down to 0. And that's how I ended up getting the best shots of that shoot. And my eyes were closed because I was just like in it. And I just thought, excuse me, I just thought that was so cool because, again, such an obvious, powerful concept illustrated in like such a simple, almost like accidental way. So, anyway, that's kind of the story of the photo shoot. And we got onto that because I was saying I have the lights set up for the recording. So, I really wanted to. I don't know why. I think because I'm just I've had a lot of thoughts about my relationship with social media and like the role I want it to play in my business and all of that over, the past couple months in this whole evolution. I'll talk more on that in a future episode. But one thing that I did kind of come to was I do want to focus more on long form content. Not that I don't still enjoy short form, but kind of with my relationship with social media and the way that I want to like help guide social media and like this new era, me 2 seconds ago, I'm going to talk about this in the future, and then I literally start talking about it. But basically one of the things is I want to really be intentional about trying to encourage and, amplify the parts of social media that are great and that I love, and not the parts that I don't. And so one of the things that a lot of us don't like is the algorithm, like hook dopamine, 3-second, blah, 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 right? And so I don't want to create that kind of content, that is just for the purpose of hooking someone, because I don't necessarily like to get caught in watching a bunch of that type of content. You know what I mean? Not that there's so much nuance to all of this. Not that I don't ever want to watch that, but if I do, I want it to be like entertaining or like funny or valuable. Again, not that all my content isn't already trying to be valuable and entertaining, but maybe I don't really know what I'm trying to say. But I guess what I am trying to say is that I realized for myself that like when I want a social media break, like when social media is feeling like too much or I don't want to be consuming so much, I really like to listen or watch long form YouTube videos of like creators or people that I really know and feel comfortable with. Like it's always been a comforting thing for me. Maybe that's because I grew up like in the YouTube era and like the beauty gurus and like that was always a thing. But I really like that. Like I miss YouTube. Like that was what I was saying about the whole YouTube thing, right? Like I kind of missed YouTube and I wanted to go back to YouTube. And I really never thought that like with my business, I would want to go back to YouTube. But here we are. So I essentially just realized, honestly, I don't even know if it has anything to do with my relationship with social media or Instagram or if it's just completely separate. But I wanted to get back on YouTube, and I thought that with starting season 2 of the podcast and kind of like the new show, if you will, with Messy and Iconic, just putting it also on YouTube would be not only a great way to hopefully spread, the podcast and reach more people, but for me to like segue back on there. I've always loved vlogging. I definitely want to get back into vlogging. I'm baby stepping my way back in by just doing like shorter vlogs on Instagram, maybe TikTok, because vlogging is, especially on YouTube, it's a heavy lift. I love it. Like I know I meant to do it. I've always loved it. But it is just so time consuming to edit. And maybe that's an excuse, but that's where I'm at right now and I just have other priorities. So this is where I'm starting, and all that to say, that's why I'm going to be posting this on YouTube, and that's why I'm recording this with a higher quality video. So if you are listening, then sorry you don't get to see the video. I have a really cute setup or you can go back and like just look at it later, or you could watch on YouTube, whatever you want. One thing I just thought of is that having it on YouTube is going to like also affect the download numbers, because if people do choose to watch it on YouTube, they won't listen to it as a podcast. But you know what? Fuck the numbers. We don't care about that. So anyway, there we are again. Take a shot every time I say, so anyway. I'm going to take a drink. What time are we at? Almost half an hour. I gotta go to the gym soon. Oh, you know what's so cool? Oh my God. So many things I want to say. It's so cool because I just remembered that when I was recording like the first episode a couple weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh, I have to go to the gym after this. And then I was like, oh, I'm scared to go to the gym. because we were like just getting back into the gym and I was like out of it and I was like nervous I wasn't going to be able to do my lifts and I was like feeling confused about everything. I just made a story about this, about like how feeling like, you know, having a fear of failing or being confused and not feeling confident in other areas of your life like affects all the other areas. So it's like I wasn't feeling confident in like my business. I wasn't feeling confident at the gym. Now I'm feeling so confident in my business. I'm like excited to go to the gym. It's like such a 180. It's just cool to see all the little 180s and parallels. So where were we? I'm posting it on YouTube. That was all that was to say. And the setup, so I tried with the setup. It's not perfect, but nothing is. And I really just wanted it to feel cozy. Like the main reason I wanted to change, it's not like I care about having a super nice production, even like for YouTube. Like, yes, I want the video quality to be good. I don't know if I'm going to be pulling the lights out every time. I just happen to still have them up here from the photo shoot. I'd love to keep them up here, but I just don't know where we could keep them. Maybe I'll feel like putting in the effort to bring them up every week. Probably not, but so we'll just see. I'm going to see if it works doing the video on my phone this way, because then at least the video quality is a little bit better. And if I record in the daytime, I have natural light. But this is really the only place I can record. I can't record on the couch that we took the photo shoot on because Sindri, that's like, he's in there. When he goes back to work, I might be able to. So we're going to be experimenting because he's been home right now because they're renovating at his work and he's literally been home. He's going to be home probably till the end of the year. So he's been home every day, which is so cool. We were just saying yesterday, like how cool is it? Like we're being so rewarded. We had to go so long without each other. And now not only is he here, we're literally getting to be together like 24/7. Like because we're both working from home all the time. We go to the gym together. It's awesome. Everyone's probably like, you're going to get sick of each other. I don't see how that could happen. I think it is good, though, because I think it's going to help us balance. I feel like we need, because I know that, like, healthily, I understand. Like, yes, it's good for us to have our own time, like, and not necessarily be together 24/7. But I think because we were apart so long and, like, we both have it so ingrained of, like, time with each other is scarce. You know, we have, like, a scarcity mindset. And so, like, of, like, with time with each other. So it's really hard for us still to, like, want to actively do anything that's has to take away from us spending time with each other, you know? And I feel like it's going to take a little bit for us to adjust and be okay with that, and also like leave them and be like, okay, like I'm going to see you again though. I'm not leaving you for 3 months, you know? Because like I think my nervous system has had to adjust to that. But I think this will kind of help us out. It's like a pendulum swing. Like we were so far the other way, now we'll go so far this way, and then we'll be able to land at like a healthy balance where like we can have a balanced amount of separation and alone time and together time. But anyway, so once he goes back to work, then I might be able to. I'm just laughing at like how all over the place this episode is. I feel like this is just the perfect way to start off the season of messy and iconic, because is it not iconic? I mean, it's a total mess, but it's so iconic. I love it. I have literally have like not even really. Like I literally came into the episode, you guys, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like have these 3 questions I'm gonna answer, like why I decided to rebrand and like what to expect going forward. Just been a mile a minute for half an hour already, and I've like not even really talked about that. And then like every other sentence, I'm just like having a new thought that I just start riding the wave on. I am doing a good job at drinking my drink, though. I normally don't do as good of a job at actually drinking my drink. But now I feel like I've had practice because I've recorded twice already and I only took like 1 sip of the drink the whole time. So now I have it in my head. I'm like, okay, drink the drink more often. By the way, I still never even talked about why I'm recording it the 3rd time, but we will get there. All in good time, you guys, all in good time. I have all the threads in my head and I haven't lost any yet, so hope we don't jinx it. What I was saying was, yes, I can't film in there right now. Maybe I can in the future. Now that I have like the fuzzy pink pillows and blanket from the photo shoot, I was like, wait, I want to like record with those or like put those in my setup before I had like a fall blanket, which was, oh my God, this is so soft. Wow, I didn't even realize. Sindri like doesn't love the pillows, like, because I was going to return them and I was like, wait, actually, they're kind of iconic. I love them. And he was like, low key, same. Like, I love the color, but he was like, I don't know if I love the fuzzy like texture, but I love it. And he's like, I don't not love it, but I don't know if it's a full body yes. So I don't know. I'm hoping it grows on him because I actually really like them. But anyway, my main reason for wanting to switch environments, like background settings, wherever I'm recording, was because I didn't want to record at my desk anymore. Because recording at my desk just made it feel too much like work, you know, like it was making it feel too rigid. I wanted to feel comfy. I wanted to feel like I'm just chilling and talking to you guys, you know? It's helpful for my energy. It's helpful for the vibe that I want to set, especially since I am doing video now. And so I knew I wanted it to be cozy. So I was like, that leaves me either like a chair or the couch. Like, that's basically it. Again, we don't have much space and not even much like furniture, or like furniture where there also I can have good lighting and I can set up all my stuff and like set up my mic and have a cute background and all of that. Energy moving. So it's like I basically have two options, this couch or that couch. And again, that couch is like not usable all the time. So I was like, we got to make this couch work. So I just made it work, you know, and it ended up being kind of cute, I think. Like, we've got the candle, we've got like the stuff that's in like the background of my, like when I'm on calls, when I am sitting at my desk, got my desk, we got the couch, so we kind of have both vibes. You can see my guitar, like the fairy light, so like it kind of works. It came out better than I thought I would, and like it isn't super cumbersome to set up and get into position, you know, like I just kind of have to like put the table here so I can like reach my mic. Before I had it on the other table, it was way too far away. I have to move my laptop over, and then if I do the lights, I have to get the lights, but overall, it's not that big of a deal. My only concern is like, you know, Atomic Habits. You don't want to have too many steps to something, then it will make you procrastinate it more. But right now I feel so excited about the podcast that like I want to like put this effort in. You know what I mean? And if I get to the point where I don't, or like we don't have lights that day, or I do just sit at my desk, like whatever, you know, it's fine. But for now, for the premiere, I figured why not go all out, because we can. And it's so funny too, because I just so happened to be wearing this because I had worn it for the photo shoot and it was just out, and I just like threw it on to this morning. And then I was like, wait, wouldn't it be actually kind of iconic if I wear like the photo shoot outfit in the podcast? I have the glasses here too, if you're watching video. When nobody watches video. Actually, this is so sick. I should like just record the whole thing in these. Maybe not. Okay, anyway, I think we finally caught up on all the tangents. So let me get a drink of water. Now we can actually talk about the podcast and the rebrand. And yeah, I was going to talk about like, I was going to say like, I wanted to talk about what I've been up to a little, even though we're going to do like a full update next time. But I feel like we've done that. I feel like that's flowed through on its own sufficiently. So basically what's left is just to talk about the rebrand, like the vision behind Messy and Iconic, why, like where the name came from, where the vision came from, why I wanted to rebrand, and I guess like what to expect going forward, even though it's like, it's pretty much what to expect is that there's like, expect the unexpected. There's nothing to expect. There's no plan. There's no plan, but there is a vision. So I think I talked about this a little bit before, and like when I had like, went earlier, like a long time ago, when I thought I was gonna do the rebrand and then I decided to wait, because basically the name came to me and I knew I wanted to rebrand, but then I was like, wait, I'm not giving this rebrand like the attention it deserves, so I decided to put it off. But I think I maybe talked about this then, and also maybe in like the season 1 finale. But I always knew that Thriving was never going to be the name for the podcast. I never was like in love with it. I was never obsessed with it. But basically, I need to blow my nose. Sorry. I'm like, I don't want to blow my nose on the podcast, but also is that's better than like sniffling a million times. And also I can cut it out. See? You never would have known that I blow my nose just now if I didn't tell you. Okay, anyway. Also, I'm trying to say and like less, but I don't know how I'm doing. I feel like I've been talking so fast this episode that I don't even have time to think about the words I'm saying. But the good thing is that when I'm talking fast, I think usually I say and like fewer times, because I was going to say them less. But then I was like, no, I should say fewer. But I think less would have been fine. But fewer times is also correct. But if I said less times, that would not be correct. Anyway, I say them less, I think, because I'm more channeling and just talking. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. When I say like, it's usually because I don't know fully what I'm saying, you know, and I need to give myself more time to think before like normally I think when I say like, it's because my mouth is moving faster than my brain. And when I don't, my brain is moving faster than my mouth. Does that make sense? But maybe I have been saying it. I honestly have no idea. I feel like I blacked out. Okay. Anyway, podcast rebrand. So I was never obsessed with the name Thriving. I hope you guys are like enjoying this. Like, I'm laughing at myself, but I hope that you're laughing too. I hope this is fun for you. But I didn't want the name to be the thing that held up me launching the podcast. I knew I wanted to start the podcast and get it out there. It was like, you know, I could feel it like wanting to birth, wanting to come out. And I was like, I don't want the name to be the thing that hangs me up. Like, I don't want to overthink it and be perfectionist about it. I just want to get it out, do it messy, right? So Thriving came to me. I was like, you know what? That's fine. Let's just stick with it for now. I'll change it in the future when a better name comes to me. And that's what I did. And it's kind of same with like the thumbnail. Like the whole thing was just kind of like, whatever. I just want to start, right? Like just start before you know, and it will come to you. And that's what happened. And so that was just with the name. And then the name Messy and Iconic came to me. I actually don't even remember how it exactly came to me. It just did. Like, it just kind of came to me one day, and I don't even remember like when or how, but I remember saying it to someone. And she was like, oh my God, Messy and Iconic. I love that. And I just said it like in passing because I was like, do it messy and Iconic or something like that. And she was like, wait, I love that. And I was like, yeah, low key, I think I'm going to rebrand my podcast to that and like make that my whole brand because that's so me. And I kind of am obsessed. And yeah, that was basically my plan. Like I was like, once I file an LLC and do all that, it's going to be Messy and Iconic. Like this is my brand. Like this is my vision for, like, as soon as I thought of it, I was like, this feels like a brand, you know? Like this is like, yes, my brand is me, but also like Messy and Iconic. Like that's like my business and like my brand. I feel like that's like, you know, an identity of my brand that can also be separate from me, even though it is me. You know what I mean? It just feels like it has its own life to it, if that makes sense. Like we're gonna have merch. I've had the merch in my head for so long. I cannot wait until I have the capacity and resources to actually make that a thing. But anyway, it just felt right. I was like, this is it. And it's so me because like literally that's me. I mean, I'm so messy and I'm so iconic. Like, and it's perfect. It's like perfect in so many levels because like that is my brand. That is my whole thing is like be messy and like your mess and like your mess is what makes you so iconic and you're embracing your messy magic and not overthinking and not being perfectionist about things and accepting yourself, right? And like accepting all of your messy humanness, right? Like authenticity, just the whole thing. Like I feel like it captures every aspect and element of everything that I want to like represent and of the message I want to share with the world and of the work that I do, right? And like the iconic part is like the confidence, but it's like they all go together and it's like the whole idea that they can live together. Oop, I just moved my mic. They can live together, you know, and they do live together. Not only can they, but like they have to. They're like directly intertwined. What makes you iconic is when you're not afraid to be messy and when you're real and when you are yourself. So jumping ahead. But it's just, I'm obsessed. And that was the feeling I wanted. I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. And that's why I didn't want to rush the rebrand because I was like, I'm obsessed. I want to give this rebrand like the energy and attention it deserves. And it's just so cool because clearly the timing could not have aligned more perfectly with when it's all happening now. And it was clearly meant to be. Like everything's aligning with the podcast and how it plays into the rest of my business and just everything. And yeah, so I decided I don't want to just slap a new name on and like, you know, not have it fully fleshed out. And so I just kind of held on to it. And then, you know, with the podcast, I wasn't necessarily planning on having seasons or taking a break like when I started the podcast, but I could tell like as time went on that I needed to take a break because basically what happened, again, I may have talked about this in the finale, so sorry if it's repetitive, but even if it is, you listened to that episode 6 months ago. I could feel like the podcast was wanting to evolve, but I just didn't have the capacity to, again, give the evolution like the time and attention it needed, like to let it evolve, like to flesh that out, to help that happen, you know, like to give the time and attention to what wants to change and figuring out what needs to change. And it wasn't super clear to me what needed to change. I just kind of knew what was feeling off and I didn't want to force anything. And I just had other priorities in my business. And again, I just didn't have the capacity at the time because there was a lot else going on in my life. You know, I was still trying to focus on just like getting enough clients and revenue. Sindri wasn't here, you know, it's like still dealing with all of that. There was just a lot. And I was like, okay, I think it's best to not force anything. You know, the podcast recording was starting to feel like a drain and you never want that. If something starts to feel like that, it's a red flag, like pause it. And so I was like, okay, let's just end season 1 here. And season 2 will come back with the rebrand when the timing is right and when I feel more clear on the vision and like have that energy to put into it. So that's kind of why I took the pause. And what I've realized of what was feeling off about the podcast before was, number one, it's funny. It's so funny. Like, it was a lot about like my, how do I say? Not my intention, but like the way, just my relationship with it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the way I was viewing it and the expectations I had of it, or like felt like I had to have. And it really was like a lot of perfectionism, funnily enough, that I didn't realize was baked in. And it's so funny because I realized, looking back, that even the names represent the shift to where before the name was Thriving, which is only focused on thriving, on like being successful, on improvement, on growth, on thriving. And like a big part of my personal evolution that I've gone through over the past couple years since starting my business is realizing, again, how much magic there is in the mess, and embracing your shadow and the darkness and feeling all your feels and all of that stuff, and not needing to look or be perfect all the time. And my relationship with failure, quote unquote, failure doesn't even exist, but you know what I mean? Like all of that, like embracing the mess and like the quote unquote dark side and the bad and all of that. And it's like, I didn't even realize I had been like avoiding that in that podcast. Like it was even in the name. You know what I mean? It was even the name, which is not that like the name is bad. Like, it's not that deep, but at the same time, like it's just kind of funny because now it's like, it's all in the name, like the iconery is there and the mess and all that is there. So it was just such a funny realization. But yeah, like basically I realized I was just still being really perfectionist. I came into it, like I started the podcast really pretty early on. Like I started it mid 2024. Only been in my business for a year. I wasn't even like working with entrepreneurs yet. Hadn't even like called myself a business coach or anything. So it started out as just kind of like personal growth, manifestation, spirituality. And then once I started like working with entrepreneurs and speaking to myself more as a business coach and, talking more about those topics in my business, I started to feel this confusion of like, okay, how much should I be talking about business? How much should I be talking about other stuff? Like, who's listening? Like, is this still for entrepreneurs? And also, like, how much of a role does this play in my business? Like, should my episodes always be directly connected to what I'm launching, or can they just be whatever? Like, I felt again, it wanting to evolve. Like, I was feeling the pull of like, I want it to be more like my personality and my life and conversational, right? And less of just like, this podcast is to help me close sales and help me get clients. You know what I mean? Like, and I felt like it was starting to feel that way. Like, not like robotic, but like it was feeling like I felt boxed in. And I felt like also I felt this expectation and pressure that I was totally putting on myself of, like I need to be putting out just educational content or like content that's valuable and like the kind of content that I see everyone else putting out in this kind of space, like talking about like how to get this result, how to make money, how to get clients, or how to manifest faster, or whatever it is. And I was like, there's only so many topics you can educate on, and it's especially when you're keeping it vague. And that's because I didn't have clarity of like, who is this for either, so just the whole thing was kind of getting muddled. And again, I knew that like one of the things I definitely wanted to change was more of my personality, more conversational, more raw messiness, like no rules, right? Like my whole vibe. The bestie chat episodes always were my favorite to record and were so well received. So I knew that was the direction, but I like wasn't sure yet how to fit that in with my business. But now I feel like my business has finally like caught up, with that. And I've just realized like, wait, that is my business. Like my brand and my business is like, yes, you can be a business coach and work with entrepreneurs and like be a personality and like, be like an influencer sometimes and like vlog and like have bestie chats. And like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And it doesn't have to be just one niche and this and that, it's so, I know it sounds so obvious when I say it, but I just didn't realize how much like, how much I was boxing myself in still with that, of thinking I needed to pick a lane, basically, right? Okay, it's either for business and entrepreneurs, or it's for spirituality and manifestation, or it's just lifestyle and personality. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's all of it. Like, it's just me, right? Same way my coach said this to me. She was like, the same way you show up on your stories and you post about your sourdough, and then you post about what you're launching, and then you post like a really good business tip, and then you post about a hike you went on, and then you post something about energetics, like you post your meditation, like all of that, like your stories, you let it be whatever you want, just let the podcast be that too. And I was like, wait, duh. So that's kind of like just what it is. It's really just like a vibe shift. It's just like a shift in my relationship with the podcast, giving myself permission really to let the podcast be whatever it wants to be, to let it be just me talking and rambling, and like come in here and not need to have like one topic that I'm going to teach you on today. Because I also feel like, yes, I'm still going to obviously like give my perspective on topics. And like if there is something that I think there's perspective or education needed on, like I'm happy to, like I love talking about anything, right? Like, but I love doing that. But I just got where I was like, I don't want to be just educational. Like that's boring to me. I needed more of a variety. And like, I just felt like all aspects of my expression weren't being represented. And the point of this podcast is, you know, obviously for you guys to like receive value and receive a frequency activation and to like receive a bright spot in your day. And also for me to express myself fully, right? Like that's one of the primary goals. And so I wasn't doing that. And so now I am going to do that. And it's just going to be like, with the way I'm looking at this, and honestly, all like my Instagram and everything is just like a creative playground, because I know that that is your key to success, is when you are just expressing yourself creatively and fully and not having all the boxes and rules and expectations hindering you and stifling your creative self-expression. So yeah, I felt like, you know, especially like with in the online business space and everything, but I was seeing with podcasts too, like everything's just so educational, and like telling you this, telling you, like learning, knowledge. And I was really getting to a point too where I was like, I'm like so sick of consuming just knowledge, you know? And like I was having that shift in my business too. And I've been saying this for so long, is that like, you know, we don't need more knowledge most of the time. We don't need more knowledge, right? We need more experience. We need more embodiment. We need to move more, you know? And so I was just feeling that shift everywhere. And I was like, I always talk about you don't need more knowledge. Like, I don't want to educate on anymore. There's nothing else people need to learn. They don't need another like top 5 ways you're going to do XYZ, right? Like they need experience. They need a frequency activation. They need like to just like a space to have fun, like not an escape, but like almost like an escape that's also valuable, you know? Because I felt like that's what I was craving. And it's like, I always say too, like whenever you feel you're craving something, like that's what you're meant to create, right? Like it's a hack. Like you get the download like in your desire. And I even noticed that even with podcasters that I like, people that I really love and really respect and always love their content, I was just like, never felt like listening to any of the podcasts, because I was like, I just like don't feel like learning anymore right now. Like I don't feel like going to school right now. Like I feel like listening to a podcast, but I don't know what I want. And it was almost like I felt like the pure, like the really educational or like interviewee ones were like too far to that end of the spectrum for me. But then on the flip side, like anything that was just pure entertainment was like almost too far to that end of the spectrum for me, because like sometimes I'm just like in the middle and I'm like, wait, but I kind of want to feel like, you know, there's a little of a bit of a purpose and I'm getting some value from it because of like the workaholic part of my brain that, you know, needs some more time to shift into full entertainment mode. And also I didn't know any people. The other thing was like I was trying to listen to entertainment podcasts that weren't people I know. Like if I knew them and followed their lives, I would love that. But like the people that I followed and liked weren't posting that kind of stuff. So I was like, I feel like I need something in the middle. And I was like, okay, that's just what I'm going to be. Like I'm going to be something in the middle to where we are going to have like, you know, value giving, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, like more educational leaning episodes where I'll talk about concepts, whatever. We're also going to have full on bestie chat type episodes. But also it's going to be like a blend. So I'll have an episode where like maybe like even this one, like you see like a little bit I'll spend talking about like an insight or a lesson or a breakthrough or something that was happening with my clients or in my business, you know, and a little bit I might talk about just something that's happening in my life or, you know, my sourdough update or like, you know, an adventure Sindri I went on or whatever. And then just like everything in between, you know, so like it's going to feel more balanced. I feel like there's always such a problem with everyone trying to niche and like, you know, this and this and this, everyone feels like it has to be so specific. And I'm like, fuck that. It's just going to be everything. And I feel like that's going to feel so refreshing. It's going to feel refreshing for me. So I know it'll feel refreshing for other people too. And I just wanted to feel more like an experience, like more exciting, more more conversational than, again, me talking at you. And yeah, I hope that we accomplish that. I have a good feeling. I also really want to start having guests on because yeah, I want it to feel more collaborative, more I want to have like juicy conversations about like all topics. Like all topics under the wellness, health, spirituality umbrella, so like anything related to health, wellness, business, entrepreneurship, spirituality, life, relationships, whatever. Like, so it's still going to be relevant to my business, but it's also, it's just going to be what it is. It's going to be everything. And it'll also be relevant to like any of you listening, whether you are an entrepreneur or not, it'll still be a fun listen to. And then that takes that out of my brain. I never have to think about like, wait, who's listening? Because that's obviously not something I want to be like thinking about anyway. Like it's about what I want to create, but it just makes it easier. But yeah, I want to start having guests because I never had guests before. And I want to have guests that are fun though. So it's like, even when I have guests, I don't want to just be like, I define like, there's a time and a place for interviews like that. But when people are just like, ask a question and they answer, ask a question and they answer, I'm like, I don't want to just be that. Like, I want it to be fun. I want to have interesting conversations. And my goal with this podcast is to be, again, like as real and raw as possible. Like really to let it be messy. It's the whole brand, like really pure, authentic self-expression. Like I'm going to be so real with you guys about everything. I always am. But even more, it's just like a deeper layer of that. Even like my messy bun today, like this is not one of the cute messy buns. It's like an actual messy bun. And I was like, fuck it. It's messy and iconic. Like we can be messy here. So I want everything to be messy. I want it to be real. And people that I have on, we're going to have real conversations. I feel like everyone says like, we're getting real here, but like, I really mean it, like, I'm going to like ask the hard hitting questions, like, and I'm going to like be really honest and open with you guys. And that's another thing. A big shift I'm feeling like in my business is, again, authenticity has always been such a huge pillar for me, but even more so, like, again, with everything I'm feeling with the online space lately and just in the world is authenticity. Everyone is craving that so bad. And I mean like real, raw authenticity, like not like fake authenticity, like not like, I feel like people like kind of half-ass honesty and authenticity, but like I'm being really real, like not being real with a filter of still trying to look like an expert or still trying to whatever, like just being real and trusting that like me being real is all I need to be. And that by being aligned fully and embodied and express my truth, that is how I attract everything that's meant for me. Because obviously that's how it works, right? Like I know that's how it works, but it's like we don't always embody it to that level that we know that it is true. And that's my goal always, but especially with, my intention with the podcast and my business going forward is that even with my content on Instagram, like I'm done with trying to, curate the perception. It's funny because, I've always had this thought in my head, like, well, I have to at least, always have, curate to some level to or not share everything. So people still respect me, or I still look like a leader. I still, look like I can coach people. I still look like the expert. I can't be like fully vulnerable in myself, or people will, think less of me or think I'm not capable of coaching them or whatever it is, right? Like that's always in your head, like that pressure and that imposter syndrome. But I know, and I remember it more and more, and I embody it more and more, like as time goes on and as I continue to grow and my business has grown and I've had more and more experience and getting the lessons over and over of that, like, no, like you literally don't have to be anything but yourself. You literally don't have to be anything but yourself to be successful. I have chills and I feel like I'm gonna cry. You literally don't have to be anything other than exactly who you are to be successful. You don't have to change anything about yourself. It is just about coming back to you, embodying more and more of your true self and who you really are, and expressing more and more of your true self and who you really are. So that's what I'm doing here. I have been in masterminds with people who have ended up hiring me on as a coach. So they saw me at my absolute lowest, at my most vulnerable. They saw me having all the problems, all the questions, like crying over failures, rejections. Like they knew me inside and out, and they still hired me on. So what does that prove? You don't have to put on a face for anyone. And I actually felt the most comfortable with those clients because I knew they knew me. You know, I didn't have anything to hide from them. There was no pressure of, oh, I need to like put this on and be this kind of coach for them. And they gain so much by seeing you leading that way too. So that feels like a good place to end. That is the goal of this podcast. That is the goal of my mission, why I'm here, is to help you remember how to be you and help you remember that being you is the key to a successful, happy life. And that is what makes you so iconic. So I'm so happy you guys are here. Oh, I didn't even tell you why we recorded. Okay, we really have to go to the gym. I can hear Sindri. He's like waiting for me to be done. But basically the reason that I ended up re-recording was, long story short, it's so funny because like this evolution that I've been going through, I feel like I keep thinking it's over. And then the next week I'm like, oh, wait, no, it wasn't over yet. I'm confused again. And then like it deepens again. And then I'm like, oh, now I know. And so basically the re-record that I had done after I did the shoot and everything and like a week and a half had passed, I got so much more clarity on the vision. I felt so much more embodied in the mission. I felt so much more amped about the rebrand and what the podcast was going to be that I was just like, wait, I didn't express this at all, like in that episode. Like I didn't even know yet when I recorded that episode what it was going to be. I thought I did, but I didn't, you know? And I was like, oh man, like, do I re-record it? Like, I don't want to be being perfectionist and re-recording the first episode of Messy and Iconic. Like how like off-brand would that be? But I fell into it and I was like, it's not being perfectionist because I could put it out. I know it would be fine, but I'm not proud of that episode. And that's how, you know, the question I love to ask, like, would I be proud? What would I be more proud of myself for doing, right? Not putting that episode out or re-recording it. And honestly, you know, too, when it's like, actually, it's going to be really inconvenient to re-record it. It would be a lot easier if I didn't, but I could feel that I meant to, you know? And so I could feel that I was meant to because it just wasn't the energy before. And it just wasn't the energy I wanted to like this is the energy I wanted. Like I could feel like how much more embodied I was in just the energy of the podcast, like what it's meant to be, how much more excited and clear I am on the vision and like excited to be here. So I'm so happy that I did because this is exactly what I want to be. The energy feels so alive and I feel like I've expressed everything I wanted to express. I feel like I've really clearly gotten across, like what I wanted to get across and sufficiently introduced Messy and Iconic and invited you along for the ride of season 2 and everything that is to come. So I love you guys so much. Also, real quick, I'll just throw in a little plug. I just remembered. I'm like, wait, it's funny. Like my brain kicked in of like, wait, like normally but at the end of an episode, you let people know what you're offering. But I was like so wrapped up in it and I haven't recorded an episode in so long that I almost forgot. Also, I just launched it today, so I forgot. This is coming out Monday. So yeah, still for the rest of the week, I have a Black Friday deal happening for one-on-one, and basically it's a 2-month intensive with me. So normally my one-on-one I only offer 6 months, but you can grab 2 months with me for over 30% off. You can save over $1,000. So numbers off the top of my head, but it's like basically like $1,000 a month. You also get a pay in full discount where you could literally get it for $2,000 total. So it's just basically a super awesome deal on one-on-one time with me. That's really all I have to say about it. I'm not gonna like pitch any like, oh, you can get this outcome and this result and whatever. I mean, if you feel the energy, you feel the activation, you feel called to it, reach out and we can chat more about like what that would look like for you. But I haven't had prices this low literally since I launched my business, and I just felt excited to. I don't know. So it's just going on this week. And there's one more thing I was going to say. I was going to say is you can also, something that's really cool is because I know not everyone, since we're getting into the holidays and stuff, like wants to jump into something right now. Like it would feel maybe kind of a waste to start an intensive in December because people take time off for the holidays and everything like that. So you kind of did this last year and it worked really well for a lot of my clients is you can like grab the 2-month intensive right now on the Black Friday sale. But you can have a delayed start date. So you can start in 2026. You can start in January, even February if you want, whenever. And you can also utilize that to have an extended prepayment plan because I don't extend payment plans past, like if we work together for 2 months, you can't be paying still in month 3 just to protect myself. But you can pay ahead of time. So it's like you could split up the payments. Say you started in February, you could split up over 4 months and then you're only paying like however much it would be, divided by 4, it's a much lower monthly payment, because I know a lot of times it's easier for people to have a lower monthly when you're paying November, December, January, February versus just the 2 months. So it's a really good deal if, you've been wanting the activation, if you've been wanting to invest, but maybe not as high of an investment, or if you want a taste of my work, or again, if you're just feeling called, if you're feeling the activation, if this message resonates with you and you want to go deeper, you want to go more into, embodying your leadership and your creative self-expression and your authenticity and vulnerability and your capacity for vulnerability and expression and being seen in your business, in your life, then just send me a DM. So again, the deal is going until December 1st, like till next Monday, December 1st. So send me a message and I'll hook you up and we can talk about it and see if it's a good fit. All right. I love you guys so much. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day or night wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Mwah. Bye.